thought I'd do a little introduction as to what this is, why I've pulled it out of a bush, and what the plans are going forward. So there's probably a little bit of a crossover between car people and machinists and whatnot. Subscribe to the channel. So for those that don't know, this is a 1990 Volkswagen Scirocco. So although it's 1990, it's all Mark 1 Golf underneath. So early 70s sort of running gear and design. Bit flimsy, not great, but it's all stuff we can work with. So the reason I've pulled it out of a bush is it's been parked there for the last like 3-4 years, something like that. So the story is, I got this probably coming on 4 or 5 years ago. Don't know, have to look at the dates. But it had been off road for 13 years, parked up in a garage. I bought it, 500 quid. It was a non-runner. Had to do a few bits and pieces to the carb and timing. Got it running, done fuel lines, brake lines, a few other bits and pieces. Dailied it for a year. Put like 25,000 miles on it. Relatively trouble-free. Had a few issues. Took it off road to do a 180 conversion. So there's a 180 sat in there at the moment with a O2M 6-speed. But I decided it was time to actually pull it out. So I'm going to be using this for a bit of content, developing some products. So doing a few things like a billet shifter, I'll show you that in a minute, pedal box, billet knuckles, a few other bits and pieces. There's the prototype shifter. Now, quick overview on that. Didn't want the CAE, they're big, bulky, bloody expensive. I've got the CNC, may as well make one. So this actually fits in, I'll throw a picture up. It fits in stock location, totally bolt-in. Don't need to do any cutting of the center console. Only need to do a little bit of trimming on the sort of sound deadening. We'll need to drill a couple of holes up in the bulkhead for the cables to go through. But I'm designing it modular, so there's a base plate. Spicy. Where was I? Sorry about that. The gimbal died. So, where was I? Yeah, it will be done as base plate shifter, so you'll be able to fit it in, you know, all the other Volkswagens that are cable shift. But for now, it's Mark 1 Golf, standard location, no cutting. Don't need to drop anything out the bottom. Cut a few bits away of your sound deadening, drill hole, job done. So that's all that. Got to work on the reverse lockout. Got all that designed up, just need to finish it and finish off the first and second lockout. So kind of similar to what you see on the Honda, like K-tuned shifters. So you can engage it and it will lock out. Once you shift out a first gear, it will lock first out. Once you shift out second, it will lock second out. So you can't do a 1-2-1 or a 2-3-2. That's all that. Like I was saying, be able to have, you know, wood, carbon. These were milled out for little cloth inserts, which look quite good. Similar to that stuff. So that's all that. Now, pedal box, I will throw up here somewhere a couple of pictures of the design. That's just set up in there. It's not on the mount up there, so it's all a bit wonky. So basically, Standard brakes on these, they run a rod all across the engine bay over to the other side, which then actuates the servo and master. It's a bit floppy, don't like it. So I wanted bias bar, so front and rear, totally adjustable, and also the clutch pedal. This was originally an automatic, so I didn't have a clutch pedal. If you do have a clutch pedal on these, you can convert them to hydraulic, but it just made sense to do all this. Now, I was going to run no BP sort of universal pedal box. The issue with that is the masters either got to go through the bulkhead, no room for that, or they run this way, floor mount. The issue with that is you lose floor space both sort of vertically, and there's no room for it. I don't like it. You can sort of try fitting one up there, but again, not a lot of room. You've got to take the dash out, you've got to bugger about. Not a fan. Now the other option is, I have seen someone makes a sort of modified column. So as standard, all the pedals hang off the column bolts up here, the pedal box is attached, which then bolts up there and down to the bulkhead. Now all of these conversions I've seen, they take away the mount up there, so you've then got all the force from, you know, your braking with 2 cylinders there, and occasionally you're going to be on the clutch as well whilst braking, so that's all the force then going through that bolt up there and down to the bulkhead, which I don't like the idea of. These are, like I say, there, even though it's a 1990 car, it's all designed in the late 60s, early 70s, so it's all flimsy as hell. I just want to make everything as beefy as I possibly can. There'll be a spreader plate, because even with the standard setup, when I took it all out, I noticed the bulkhead was sort of rippled a bit. So even as standard, it's flimsy, no good. Fuck it all off. Pedals, this is going to be 2-piece bracket and then the pedal, so you're going to be able to adjust tilt, and also the pedal pad where it bolts to a bracket, 2 bolts there, so you'll be able to move it left, right, up and down. So that's that. I'm going to be running cable throttle for now, so this version is designed to go in with a cable throttle. I am going to do a version with drive-by-wire, so that's that covered. Now the next lot of billet stuff I'm going to be making, knuckles. So when you convert these, obviously Mark 1 Golf outer CVs, absolutely tiny, put decent tyres on. This is going to be 500 to 550 brake. If you launch it on decent tyres, which I will all the time, it's just going to snap them. So a couple of options you got. If you want to fit a like Mark 4 style outer CV, which is a lot stronger, you've got to either run a Mark 2 hub, which has its problems also. You've got to play about and get the strut to attach to it, a couple other bits and pieces, not a great solution. Or if you run your Mark 1 knuckles, to take the wheel bearing that you need for one of those, which is a like late Mark 3 GTI VR6 Mark 4 bearing, the OD is actually too big for the knuckle, even if you machine it. So there is I think the only option I spent hours looking is a Montego or Maestro wheel bearing, which has a smaller OD, which you can machine the knuckle for, but then you're in a situation where you've got a machine knuckle, a random ass wheel bearing that may or may not go obsolete at some point, and you've still got to machine the CV for it all to fit. So if you break a CV, you've either got to have a pre-machined spare one, or you've got to, you know, get one and machine it. So not a great option in my eyes. My way, although it's going to be a billet knuckle, I'm pretty sure I found a shaft setup which is standard shafts from other cars, which will bolt straight in. So if you break anything that's on the shelf, you can get them, you know, overnight from Euros, GSF, eBay, JR, wherever. So not only that, I'll be able to do a drop on the knuckle, so kind of similar to how you would on a Beetle, sort of do a 2-inch drop on the knuckle itself. That way you know, you can go lower, you keep shock travel, you keep all your geometry happy. So we're going to be going over all that. I've already done a scan of the knuckle, but I'll probably take it all off and go through the process of doing all that. So that'll be quite interesting. Got a few brake options I can run with that. Now also, fuel system. Surge tank there. Now this car was originally carved, so there's no fuel pump. You can do like a Mark 1 Golf injection pump, but they're few and far between, expensive, old, crusty, not many new ones, not a great idea, fuck all that. Gonna do a lift pump to the surge tank. So I'm gonna be going over a lot of the fuel system side of things. Now there's a Bosch 044 in there at the moment, more than enough for what I need for now. But I have designed, and I'll show it up here, an adapter that goes in place of a pump, so it seals that off, and it actually hangs a Hellcat pump in tank, so it quietens everything down, flows a lot more, good stuff. So that covers all that. Now, as well as the knuckles, I'm probably going to be doing at some point billet wishbones just to be fancy. Basically anything I can make for this, be it to offer as a product or just, you know, for me, I'm going to be doing it. So a hell of a lot of homemade sort of stuff to come on this. Yeah, like I say, I'm not a massive fan of sort of newer cars. There's a hell of a lot of sort of content on YouTube for newer stuff. Not a massive fan of it. My thing is home built, old, rusty shit boxes that go stupidly quick, basically. So there's going to be a lot of focus on, you know, the CNC machine. Now, if you haven't seen any of my previous videos, the machine is home built, DIY. It costs about £2 grand. So there's going to be a whole lot of sort of focus on what you can do with a machine you built yourself in your garage, and just built not bought really. So be going over all that. I forgot to say, I'm also going to be going over the ECU side of things quite a bit. Now you see there's no dash in there at the moment. Now that is because I'm going to be running this dash setup. So that is a real dash. It runs on an Android tablet. That takes everything off the ECU, which for the moment is going to be a Speeduino. I will be moving over to a Max ECU. But for now, that's a open source ECU. You can buy the kits for just over 100 quid. You assemble it yourself. It runs on an Arduino Mega. You load your firmware on, you tune it via Tuner Studio. So you can end up with a really capable ECU, really cheap. Has a lot of features, is pretty reliable. So I'm going to be going over building one of those ECUs, doing the wiring, probably some mapping. It's a good bit of content, so I'll do all that. And the dash itself, basically I want to run a lot of sensors, so everything from coolant pressure to exhaust gas temp, and I did not want gauges all over the place. It pisses me off when you see them. Not a fan. fuck all that. So the dash sees everything the ECU can see. I've built a CAN bus module basically, so I'll be able to control everything with a Mark 7 Golf steering wheel with, you know, all the buttons repurposed those, with a limb bus to CAN bus adapter. A module also takes off 12 volt for stuff like the indicators, the sort of light status warning lights, and the fuel level. Converts it into sort of 5 volts through an opto oscillator that the dash can then pick up from the module. So that's all that. But yeah, just thought I'd do a quick video. See, it's cleaned up all right. You haven't missed anything. I'll be making another video going over sort of some of the cleaning and doing a few bits of work. It didn't make much sense to throw it in on this video. But yeah, if this is all the direction you want to see, the stuff you're interested in, sort of home built shit, then yeah, consider dropping a follow, subscribe, whatever. And yeah, keep an eye out for the next one.